Do you still remember the chaotic laughs and the smell of Ella's cooking in the Payne household? It feels like a warm memory, but for the cast, it was a psychological thriller. One lead star has vanished into total isolation, while another was betrayed by a partner in a shocking public DNA battle. This isn't the sitcom you grew up with. This is the 2026 update they never wanted you to see. LaVan Davis as Curtis Payne. Curtis Payne was the retired fire chief running the house with a loud mouth and a very short temper. Born on September 21, 1966, LaVan Davis was 40 years old when he first brought this grumpy character to life. He was the comedic engine of the show. But by 2026, the man behind the laughs has become a total mystery. Now 60 years old, LaVan has spent the last 2 decades trapped in a strange kind of fame. Fans were convinced for years that he was secretly married to his co-star, Cassi Davis. They wanted the TV romance to be real so badly that it actually ruined his ability to have a normal dating life. Every time he was seen with a woman, the internet would attack her for replacing Ella. This constant pressure pushed him into a very dark and isolated place. He started retreating from the public eye because he couldn't handle the real-life partner rumors anymore. In 2026, he lives a very quiet, almost lonely life in Atlanta. He hasn't married and doesn't have a partner to share his success with. There were even times when he felt like a prisoner to the Tyler Perry brand. Critics said he couldn't get work anywhere else, and that deeply wounded his pride. He almost walked away from acting entirely because he felt like a fraud. Today, he's financially stable with millions in the bank, but he returns to an empty home. The drama of his life isn't about a messy divorce. It's about the crushing silence that comes after the studio audience stops clapping. Bobbi Baker as Kiki. Kiki was the sharp-tongued and no-nonsense stylist at the beauty salon who gave the show some of its most memorable and feisty girl talk moments. Bobbi Baker was born on February 8, 1981, and she was only 27 years old when she brought her fierce energy to the cast in 2008. She was the perfect spark plug for the salon scenes, known for her quick wit and unmistakable presence. However, the vibrant journey of this talented actress was cut tragically short, leaving the entertainment world in deep mourning. Bobbi Baker passed away in early 2024 at the young age of 43. Her sudden death was caused by unexpected medical complications that left the Atlanta acting community and her fans in a state of total disbelief. Behind her bold screen persona was a woman shaped by a deeply disciplined and academic childhood. Growing up in a household that prioritized excellence and religious faith, Bobbi was pushed from a young age to be the best in everything she touched. This high-pressure upbringing molded her into a powerhouse performer, a drive that was clearly visible when she took on challenging roles in films like Medea Goes to Jail and the intense drama The Paradox. These projects served as proof of her versatility, showing she could handle both mainstream comedy and gritty, complex characters with ease. She is remembered today as a bright light that burned out far too soon, a talent who proved that you can be both tough and deeply graceful at the same time. Cassi Davis Patton as Ella Payne. Ella Payne was the spiritual glue that held the family together through every crisis. Born on July 31, 1964, Cassi Davis Patton was 42 years old when she started playing the beloved matriarch. She was the person everyone turned to for wisdom and a prayer. In 2026, she is 62 years old, and her face tells a story of survival. Back in 2020, she was hit with Bell's palsy. It paralyzed half of her face right when she was supposed to be filming. For an actress who depends on her smile to connect with the audience, this was a devastating blow. She felt ugly and broken. She spent months hiding in her house because she didn't want the world to see her crooked face. Her real-life marriage to Carrie Patton in 2017 was supposed to be her happy ending, but it came with its own set of stressors. Being married to a high-profile pastor meant she was always under a microscope. Then came the ultimate shock. Cruel death hoaxes started spreading online in 2023. People actually believed she died of lung cancer. Her phone wouldn't stop ringing with people crying, and she had to deal with the trauma of her own funeral while she was still alive. By 2026, she has mostly recovered from the paralysis, but the emotional scars are still there. She's happy with her husband, but she's also very wary of the world. She's learned the hard way that fame can turn into a funeral march in just one click. Bart Hansard as Bart. Bart was the lovable and often clumsy firefighter who provided a much-needed bridge of laughter between the Payne family and the chaotic world outside the firehouse. Born on January 30th, 1964, Bart Hansard was 42 years old when he became the ultimate comedic sidekick with a goofy comment to offset Curtis Payne's constant grumbling. Sadly, Bart passed away in late 2021 at the age of 57. His death was caused by severe medical complications that he had been battling privately for some time. Behind that jolly and easygoing screen persona was a man of incredible grit and artistic passion. His childhood in Georgia was spent as a dedicated theater kid in a world that didn't always value the arts. He spent decades as a hard-working character actor, constantly balancing the hustle for the next paycheck with the physical toll of a demanding industry. He found his true joy in the craft itself and in mentoring the next generation of performers. While he is no longer with us, he remains a beloved part of the show's history. Demetria McKinney as Janine Payne. Janine Payne was the character with the most tragic arc, starting the show as an addict who had lost everything. Born on August 27, 1979, Demetria McKinney was 27 years old when she started this intense journey. She was the emotional soul of the series. In 2026, she is 47 years old, and she is finally recovering from a decade of public humiliation. For years, she was in a relationship with producer Roger Bobb. It was a real-life partner situation that became a national joke on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. She was portrayed as a woman waiting for a ring that was never coming while other women claimed to be with her man. The stress of that public betrayal nearly broke her. She was a serious actress being treated like a gossip headline. It caused a massive rift between her and the House of Payne cast because she felt they didn't support her enough during the scandal. By 2026, she has officially moved on, but she's still dealing with the fallout. She's a single mother now and is fiercely protective of her heart. She's had to work twice as hard to get people to take her music and acting seriously again after the reality TV circus. She's found a new sense of power in her independence, but she still looks back at those years as a time when she let a man's indecision almost destroy her entire career. Larramie Doc Shaw as Malik Payne. Malik Payne was the witty, energetic grandson who grew up right in front of our eyes. Born on May 27, 1992, Larramie Doc Shaw was only 14 years old when he started this journey in 2006. He provided the show with its youthful spark. By 2026, at 34 years old, he has shocked fans with a drastic physical transformation. He lost a massive amount of weight, which led to dark rumors that he was suffering from a terminal illness or substance abuse. The truth was actually a deep-seated fear of his own genetics. He watched family members suffer from weight-related diseases, and it sparked a near-obsessive drive to change his body. The drama of his life in 2026 is rooted in a profound professional loneliness. While he was once a Disney and sitcom superstar, the roles have dried up as he hit his 30s. He has struggled to be seen as a leading man because people still see him as Little Malik. Since he has no public real-life partner or children, he has poured all his energy into music and small indie projects. He's had to face the reality that fame is fleeting, and he spent the last few years battling the depression that comes with being yesterday's news. He's currently healthy, but he lives a very isolated life in Atlanta, trying to reinvent a career that feels like it's slipping through his fingers. China. Anne McClain as Jasmine Payne. Jasmine Payne was the precocious, sharp-tongued daughter who always had a comeback ready. Born on August 25, 1998, China Anne McClain was a tiny 8-year-old when she joined the cast. She was the breakout star of the family. However, her life in 2026, at age 28, is defined by a shocking retreat from the Hollywood machine. The turning point was the sudden, tragic death of her close friend and co-star, Cameron Boyce, in 2019. That loss shattered her world. It made her realize that the glitz and glamour of the industry were hollow. She fell into a period of mourning that lasted for years, eventually deciding that she would no longer play the Hollywood game. However, China has completely shifted her focus toward her faith and her sisters. She has famously turned down massive paychecks and high-profile roles because they didn't align with her spiritual values. This caused huge friction with agents and producers who thought she was throwing her career away. Besides, she remains single by choice, prioritizing her mental health and her relationship with God over a romantic life. She has been very vocal about the demonic nature of the industry, which has made her a controversial figure. She is happy now, but it's a quiet, defiant kind of happiness. She's no longer the girl the world wants her to be. She's a woman who chose her soul over a star on the Walk of Fame. Keshia Knight Pulliam as Miranda Payne. Miranda Payne was the sophisticated wife of Calvin who brought a lot of modern tension to the household. Born on April 9, 1979, Keshia Knight Pulliam was 28 years old when she started the role in 2007. Most people remember her as Little Rudy Huxtable, so seeing her play a grown woman was a huge shift. But Keshia's real life in 2026, at age 47, has been a roller coaster of public humiliation and ultimate redemption. Her marriage to Ed Hartwell in 2016 turned into a national scandal. He filed for divorce just months after the wedding and demanded a paternity test for their unborn daughter. She had to go through her entire pregnancy defending her character while the media mocked her. That public trauma left her with deep emotional scars. She spent years being terrified of trusting anyone again. But 2026 finds her in a much better place. She married actor Brad James in 2021, and they are still going strong. However, the drama hasn't totally disappeared. Balancing a blended family and a career in her late 40s has brought on significant health scares related to stress and exhaustion. She's had to fight to keep her name relevant in an industry that is notoriously ageist toward black women. Today, she is a powerful entrepreneur and a devoted mother, but she still carries the weight of that public betrayal. Denise Burse as Claretha Jenkins. Claretha Jenkins was the nosy, hilarious neighbor who was always looking for the latest scoop. Born on January 13, 1952, Denise Burse was 54 years old when she first walked onto the set. She provided the perfect comedic foil to Ella Payne. By 2026, Denise is 74 years old, and her story is one of grit and quiet struggle. She has spent much of the last 2 decades fighting for roles in an industry that often forgets about older actresses. She has faced periods of real financial uncertainty, which is a shocking reality for someone who was on such a hit show. Her childhood was also a major influence on her resilience. She grew up in a very hard-working family where you didn't complain, you just did the work. This old-school mentality helped her through her long-term marriage to actor Peter J. Fernandez. In 2026, they are still together, but their life hasn't been a Hollywood dream. They have had to navigate the real-life partner struggle of 2 artists trying to make ends meet in an expensive city like New York. Denise has dealt with the physical pain of aging while still trying to perform on stage. She's a legend in the theater world, and she also because she doesn't know how to stop. Robin Givens as Tanya. Tanya was the beautiful but calculating woman who constantly threatened the stability of CJ and Janine's marriage. Born on November 27, 1964, Robin Givens was 44 years old when she brought her signature sharp edge to the show in 2008. She was the perfect antagonist. However, her real life in 2026 is a story of incredible resilience after decades of being the most hated woman in America. Now 62, Robin has spent a lifetime trying to outrun the shadow of her violent, short-lived marriage to boxing legend Mike Tyson. That relationship was a public car crash that left her unfairly labeled as a gold digger by the media, a stigma that nearly destroyed her career and her spirit. The drama of her life in 2026 is the quiet struggle of a woman who has had to be both mother and father to her two sons while navigating a world that refused to forgive her past. She has faced years of professional blacklisting and personal trust issues. Finding a stable man to share her life with became almost impossible because of the constant tabloid scrutiny. Today, she is focused on directing and writing, but she still faces the sting of ageism in Hollywood. Her journey isn't just about fame, it's about a woman who had to rebuild her soul after the world turned her trauma into a punchline. She is finally at peace, but the road was paved with deep, lonely battles that the cameras never saw. Lance Gross as Calvin Payne. Calvin Payne was the charming, sometimes lazy son who provided most of the show's youthful energy. Born on July 8, 1981, Lance Gross was just 25 years old when he landed this breakout role. He was the heartthrob of the cast. Now 45 years old in 2026, Lance is still a very handsome man, but he carries the weight of a lot of public drama. His engagement to Ava Marcille ended in a very messy and public way. The breakup was all over the blogs, and it painted him in a light he didn't like. He had to rebuild his reputation from scratch while everyone watched him fail at love. He eventually married Rebecca Jefferson in 2015, but staying perfect for the cameras has been a huge struggle. In 2026, the pressure of being a social media dad goals icon while his acting career hit a plateau has caused a lot of friction. He's had to deal with the realization that he's no longer the young leading man. Younger, cheaper actors are taking the roles he used to get. This has led to some very tense moments in his marriage as they navigate the uncertainty of his future income. He's happy as a father, but he's also very stressed about his legacy. He's working hard to reinvent himself as a director, but the fear of being washed up at 45 is something he battles every single day. Valarie Pettiford as Sandra Lucas. Sandra Lucas was Miranda's mother, a woman who was elegant, demanding, and always caused a stir. Born on July 8, 1960, Valarie Pettiford was 51 when she joined the show. She brought a high-class energy to the cast. In 2026, at the age of 66, Valarie's life is a battle between her past glory as a Broadway star and the reality of aging. Her childhood was spent in the dance studio, pushing her body to the absolute limit for perfection. This perfectionist mindset became her biggest enemy as she got older. She has struggled with the loss of her youthful appearance, which led to a lot of internal stress and anxiety. Her marriage to Tony Rader has been her anchor, but even that hasn't been perfect. The tension of being a performer 24/7 has caused friction in her home life. In 2026, she is facing the quiet drama of a career that is slowing down. She's had to deal with the heartbreak of being passed over for roles she was perfect for simply because of her age. She spent the last few years dealing with chronic pain from her years as a professional dancer, which has made it hard for her to stay active. She is still beautiful and talented, but she's also very tired. Her story is about the struggle to find value in yourself when the world stops looking at you. She's currently teaching and mentoring, trying to pass on her wisdom before the spotlight fades completely. Alan Payne, as C.J. Payne. C.J. Payne was the hard-working nephew who constantly struggled to balance his job as a firefighter with a chaotic home life. Born on July 7, 1968, Alan Payne was 38 years old when he took on this role. He brought a grounded, serious vibe to the sitcom that made the stakes feel high. In 2026, Alan is 58 years old, but you wouldn't know it because he has virtually disappeared. After his mother passed away, Alan fell into a deep, silent grief. He didn't have a wife or a real-life partner to help him through it. He just pulled the curtains shut and stopped answering the door. This led to years of scary rumors that he had lost his mind or was living in poverty. The industry can be incredibly cruel to actors who don't play the social media game. Allen refused to share his life with the public, and Hollywood eventually stopped calling. This caused a massive amount of tension and financial stress. He went from being a 90s movie icon to a man who felt forgotten by the business he helped build. In 2026, he still hasn't married and has no children. He lives a very minimalist, almost monk-like existence. He's not interested in the comeback narrative that everyone wants for him, and he just focused entirely on his mental health and his privacy. His story is a shocking reminder that you can be one of the most recognizable faces in the country and still end up totally alone by choice. Rick Fox as Roland Roland was the smooth, handsome character who added a layer of polished charm to the series. Rick Fox was born on July 24, 1969, and he was 42 when he appeared in the show back in 2011. Before he was an actor, he was an NBA superstar, so he brought a certain A-list energy to the set. By 2026, Rick is 57 years old, and his life is a fascinating look at the high cost of being a perfectionist. His childhood in the Bahamas was spent under intense pressure to succeed, which molded him into a champion, but also made him someone who struggled to turn off his competitive mode in his personal relationships. His most famous romantic chapter was his high-profile marriage to Vanessa Williams, but that ended in a painful divorce that played out in the headlines. In 2026, he is navigating the drama of a massive career shift. He poured millions into the world of esports, but that venture was plagued by intense lawsuits and backstabbing business partners. The stress of losing a fortune while trying to maintain his cool public image caused him significant health scares. He is currently single, dealing with the realization that being a champion on the court doesn't always lead to a win in the living room. His story is about a man who has everything the world wants, but is still searching for a genuine connection that doesn't involve a contract or a scoreboard. Gary Owen as Zach. Zach was one of the few recurring white characters in the series, and his hilarious chemistry with the Payne family made him a fan favorite. Gary Owen was born on July 26, 1974, and he was 35 when he joined the cast in 2009. He was widely respected for his authentic connection to the black community. But in 2026, at age 52, Gary's life has been turned upside down by one of the messiest celebrity divorces in recent history. His 18-year marriage to Kenya Duke exploded in 2021, and the fallout has been devastating. His ex-wife publicly accused him of infidelity and abandonment, which instantly turned his fan base against him. The shock of this drama was profound. Gary went from being a family man icon to a man being dragged through the mud on social media every single day. By 2026, he is still struggling to repair the relationship with his children, who took their mother's side in the split. This estrangement has caused him to fall into deep bouts of depression, and he's been very open about how hard it is to tell jokes on stage when his heart is breaking. He's also facing massive financial hits from the legal battles. His story is a raw look at how a decades-long life can fall apart in a matter of months, leaving a man to wonder if he'll ever be able to laugh, or make anyone else laugh, the same way again. Marvin Winans as Pastor Richards. Pastor Richards, the spiritual compass of the Payne family and the voice of wisdom during their darkest hours, was portrayed by the legendary Marvin Winans. Born March 5, 1958, in Detroit, Michigan, he was 50 years old when he first brought his commanding presence to the show in 2008. In 2026, he was 68 years old, and his life was marked by a near-fatal tragedy that mirrored the very drama he portrayed on screen. In a shocking 2012 incident, he was the victim of a brutal, daylight carjacking and assault at a Detroit gas station, where he was beaten and robbed by a group of young men. This violent encounter left him with physical injuries and deep psychological trauma. After that, he leads the Perfecting Church in Detroit and continue his Grammy-winning music career. With an estimated net worth of $5 million, he has moved beyond the victim narrative, recently focusing on massive urban redevelopment projects and youth mentorship programs intended to heal the brokenness he experienced firsthand. Behind the polished image of a TV pastor was a man who had to survive a real-life dark night of the soul and publicly forgive his attackers to save his own spirit. Dorian Harewood as Larry Shelton. Larry Shelton, the sophisticated and stern father of Janine Payne, was portrayed by the legendary Dorian Harewood. Born July 24, 1950, in Dayton, Ohio, he was 56 years old when he joined the cast in 2007, bringing a level of old-school gravitas that set him apart from the rest of the household. As of 2026, Dorian Harewood is 75 years old and continues to be a respected force in the industry, maintaining an active schedule that balances family life with high-profile voiceover work and selective guest appearances in prestige dramas. With an estimated net worth of $3 million, he has successfully transitioned into a living legend status, serving as a vital bridge between the era of the classic miniseries Roots, The Next Generations, and the modern landscape of 2026 television. Behind Larry Shelton's composed and wealthy image was a man who spent his entire career navigating the invisible yet systemic barriers of a cutthroat industry. Growing up in Ohio, Dorian was pushed to excel in both music and academics to prove his worth, a pressure that followed him into an emotionally demanding career. He navigated the quiet drama of being a leading black actor in an era of limited opportunities, often sacrificing his own peace to pave the way for the generations that followed. This real-life resilience gave his performance as Larry an authentic edge. His life remains a testament to the strength of a man who refused to be broken by a difficult industry, and his portrayal continues to be the gold standard for fatherhood. So after 21 years, the cast of House of Payne has grown, changed, and built lives far beyond the show, both on screen and in their real relationships. We may not remember what they changed, where they has lived, but what they left behind is a memory etched in our hearts. So whose real age or real-life partner surprised you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this update, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around for more stories like this. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.